Hello and welcome back. With the explosion of the internet, mainstream media is no longer the sole publishers of information. Anyone with a blog or video channel is now one too, no matter how small they may be. And publishing anything actually comes with responsibility. What if you publish something that is factually untrue and this upsets some people? What's the proper ethical and responsible way to deal with such a situation? A few years ago, the laws on defamation changed in the UK. During the consultation process, people were invited to offer their opinion. Someone submitted this. In reforming libel law, I will be looking for changes that allow me to feel confident that an honest, public discussion of controversial areas where there are potential vested interests involved need not expose me to arbitrary legal threats that could financially ruin me. The health of democracy requires ordinary citizens to be able to participate in public debate without fear of capricious and crippling harms. That person added that a change in the law should include a duty to contact the authors of the material in preference to any other party that may be involved in the chain of publication, that the nature of the complaint is made clear, and that simple and fast remedies are offered that do not involve attempts to silence beyond the scope of the complaint. The person who wrote this was Andy Lewis of the Quackometer. These are very good thoughts, and I happen to totally agree with them. Lewis has taken a lofty and noble position here, firmly on the side of democratic, open debate. He certainly quacks the quack. But does he waddle the waddle? My wife and I encountered him because of Steiner education. Our children experienced abuse in one of these schools, which stemmed from its connection with the occult pedagogy of anthroposophy. We also encountered another British person critical of these schools, Melanie Bing, who lauded over our efforts to expose what had happened to our children and then proceeded to smear us to her friends and anyone connected with the small group of Steiner critics, journalists, and also Andy Lewis. Among the many lies she spread about us, including lying about our work ethics, attacks on our character, and disgusting disability abuse, she also used her husband's medical credentials to add credence to a fake clinical judgment she manufactured and used it to convince people my wife had a severe mental health problem and was therefore very dangerous. So what happened when we crossed paths with Andy? Melanie had warned him beforehand, and bearing in mind that Lewis often states that his motivations are solely based on evidence, you might be surprised to learn that it only took Melanie's assurance for him to believe her lies. He concluded we were mentally ill and blocked any attempt from us from joining in the national conversation on Steiner criticism that he was cultivating on his blog. He later published a post about us, encouraging people to see us as fantasists and liars, and allowing his readers to conclude the cult of anthroposophy had done the right thing in hurting our children. We obviously had an issue with this, because his statements went against the evidence. He didn't allow us a right of reply, and his influence was such that people didn't question him and took his word as fact. He also encouraged others to stop communicating with us, as he told Animals in Suits, someone he doesn't actually know, that there is very low tolerance with some people for anyone who is engaged with us. As for those he did know, well, he advised Noodle Maz and Sid Rodriguez to not engage. But Sid she is so polite. Hard to tell someone straight up that it is the politeness of the psychopath. So Andy Lewis just smears people's mental health behind their backs to convince others to stop talking to them. Classy. We did try to resolve matters and contacted him to make sure that, as Lewis puts it, the nature of the complaint was made clear, and hoped that simple and fast remedies were offered that did not involve attempts to silence beyond the scope of the complaint. But we got no response. Probably because he thought we were in New Zealand and he felt safe all the way in the UK. In fact, the nature of the smears we were enduring, not just his, but of a whole group of connected skeptics and humanists, meant that we had to relocate back to the UK to deal with this, and we met up with him at a public talk he was giving on the dangers of Steiner education. We came to hand him a letter seeking resolution, the same letter we had sent him previously, which he had not responded to, and which included the following. Andy, you're a savvy bloke and a canny wordsmith. Let's sort this matter out now through diplomacy before we are forced to protect our reputations to take actions that will make that option unavailable. We believe, however difficult it may seem given the entrenched views of some of your acquaintances, that you are up to this job, and we do mean that sincerely. Should you choose to engage, you will find us ready and willing to negotiate a way out of any further hostility, and this would be our preferred avenue, especially given the struggle we've just finished with the school, with its effect on our family, as well as the necessity to come back to the UK, all of which is highly stressful. So confronted with this genuine attempt to resolve matters, what did Andy do?
If I ever see you near any of my family or anything like that, I'll call the police.
My family?
I'll call the police.
We've never been near your family. Well, that doesn't really go in line with his published position. He's refusing to talk to us, refusing to listen, refusing to offer simple and fast remedies. He even insinuates to the people in the room that we are a danger to his family, including his children. But it gets worse. When he discussed the matter to others, like to Jo Torres to convince her not to allow us to attend his next talk, he told her that they have been harassing me for over a year and are as mad as cheese. I thought they lived in New Zealand but showed up in Bath to serve papers on me. So our attempt to mediate and settle the matter with him sensibly had morphed into us serving papers on him, smearing our mental health, refusing to communicate, and now getting us barred from places does not go in line with his public statement that simple and fast remedies are offered that do not involve attempts to silence beyond the scope of the complaint. And what do liars do as time goes on? They embellish. When he was scheduled to talk at the British Humanist Association, now called Humanist UK, he had to stop us from attending there as well. He was happy that Richie Thompson, who works there, was right on the money and will notify the police before the meeting. But he also told Richie, Sarah Passmore and Stephen Law that her demands for me to give her money to go away against the threat of a defamation case has failed. So now our attempts to resolve the situation, let's sort this matter out now through diplomacy. You will find us ready and willing to negotiate a way out of any further hostility, and this would be our preferred avenue, had morphed into an attempt at blackmail. That's shocking. This deceitfulness of his extends to subjects he claims to be highly knowledgeable on. For instance, he's not afraid to inform others publicly that my own research on Steiner suggests nothing should be taken at face value when looking at anthroposophical institutions. This makes sense, as he's also stated publicly that Steiner schools, which are anthroposophical institutions, are part of a dangerous, insidious cult. And yet, he went to court using a letter from a Steiner school to prove my wife and I were terrible parents. That document wasn't based on any kind of facts, but solely the unevidenced opinions of cult members designed to justify having abused our kid and to go back on a legally binding agreement that's signed with us. So I guess, contrary to what Lewis claims, he can take at face value spurious accusations from an anthroposophical institution when it suits him. Andy Lewis is viewed as honest by many. Despite the above, and the clear lies he's told about us, a High Court judge has even stated that in his judgment. He publicly claims to be open to resolve matters, yet smears people in the background and spreads outrageous lies about them in private communications. And because he has a reputation for dealing with matters factually, people are convinced that those he lied about are dangerous and must be avoided. He doesn't even allow right of reply or comments on his numerous posts about my family. There's a list of words for that, but honest certainly isn't among them. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.